Hi, this is DrayYoutube584. In one of my other top 10 videos, I talked about my top 10 favorite days from 2018. But in this video, I'll talk about the days that were not particularly good from 2018. Like the background says, some days are terrible, horrible, no good, very bad days. Now, like the ones I'm about to talk about. So yeah, if you don't like hearing about bad stories, then this video is not for you, because this is not going to be good stories. If you want to hear good stories, check out my best days in 2018. But if you're interested in this video, you can keep on watching. Let's get started. My number 10. January 31st. Okay, when I was in middle school, we would have science for one half of the year and social studies for the other half of the year. This day was the middle of the school year, and it was my second to last day in science class before moving to social studies. So we played games in class. It was a low-level science class, so I only had 4 classmates. 5 if you include me. We were playing a game, and every time it would get intense, my classmate would scream because he was drinking too much Kool-Aid and it would make him hyper, so he just wouldn't stop screaming. And he just kept screaming louder and louder each time, and it was making me upset because I'm autistic. But what made it a really big problem was when all my classmates screamed at once when the game got intense at one point. And I was very upset and angry about that, and my aide had to walk me to the counselor's office to calm myself down. Oh, what a great way to end the month. Sarcasm. At least it didn't end in the way that any of my other days after did, because the days on this list are only going to get worse. Number 9. March 18th. In case you don't know, this day is an unlucky day for me, March 18th, because I had a crappy day in this year and in 2019 and in 2020. All three of it sucked. This day sucked in all 3 of those years. But I'll tell you about what happened in the 2018 version. My mom has a friend named Andrea. Now, her son got baptized on this day. So we went out to eat at a restaurant in a special large room with just Andrea's family afterward. I didn't go to the baptism, but I went to the restaurant that came after. Unfortunately, it did not go very well. I was upset that the little kids there were running around the room screaming because of my autism. And also, the food was taking an eternity to come, and I was hungry and bored. My biggest problem, though, was that Andre's brother-in-law was sitting at the table with us, and he was saying the F word every 2 to 3 words, and not even exaggerating. I'm dead honest that he was cursing that much. It made me very angry, and I lost control at the table. I'm not certain, but I might have yelled, "I can't take this anymore!" My mom dragged me out of my seat and was telling me I need to calm down, but I refused to calm down. Seriously, that was so disrespectful. He felt bad, but he was with a little kid, and it was for Andre's son's baptism. He's cursing up a storm, but I think he feels bad at least. So yeah, this was surely an unpleasant restaurant trip for me. Number 8. November 27th. So, my cousins Tyler, Nove, and Jaden were over at my grandparents' house. Mom and Poppy, my dad's parents. Mom and Poppy had to go to a funeral, so my dad went to their house with me to take care of my cousins. I knew Mom and Poppy were going to a funeral, so I asked Poppy who died. He said it was his friend's wife. I also found out that she was young, and she got into a car accident with a little kid having to watch. That story made me feel heartbroken, and I went to the bathroom. I was in there just crying a whole bunch. I was there lying on the floor in tears until my dad walked in because he knew I was there, and he kindly told me to stop stressing so much about it. But I was still upset. And what made it worse was Jane told me about a famous kid on the internet who just died too. Once he told me, I was like, why do you have to remind me now? And rest in peace to that woman. I hope she's resting in heaven, and I feel so deeply sorry for her children, her parents, and her husband or boyfriend. Number 7. November 5th. After I went to school on Mondays, I would sometimes go to a store or two with my mom. I went to Wawa with her after school on this day. My mom asked me if I wanted to go in, and I said yes. I made a big mistake by saying yes. For those of you who don't know, I've always been severely sensitive to screaming and crying babies due to my autism. While I was in line with my mom in Wawa, because she wanted coffee or something, so I was waiting in line with her, and a baby in front of us started screaming and more screaming. This sound made me absolutely enraged, like the rage that's like way to the extreme. And I threw a huge tantrum, and I was screaming out of control with the baby. My mom was dragging me out of the store. It was so embarrassing. I was humiliated that at 13 years old, I acted like that in front of others. I was in the car crying with regret. I was very embarrassed. My behavior in 2018 was usually pretty good, but this day it wasn't good at all. It was like how I behaved when I was little, because the sound of the baby screaming was just unbearable to me. I hope I never get like that again. Number 6. October 29th. This truth may be hard for some of you to handle, but I lost my Uncle Tom on October 3rd, 2018, and I was badly affected in this day. In my opinion, October 3rd wasn't the worst, because although I heard the news about his death from my grandmother, I was too shocked to be devastated about it. However, I got affected by it eventually on a few different days, and this was one of them. That evening, I was in my room wailing because I was thinking about Uncle Tom. It was awful. It wasn't long-lasting, but it was profound feelings of sorrow. And I was just freaking out about it. But it still wasn't the worst, because I got over it quickly. Even though I got over it pretty quickly, it was still an awful day. Rest in peace. Number 5. August 25th. I pointed out on my favorite days in 2018 that I had an excellent day on the day before this. However, this day was not very good at all. My cousins Tyler, Nove, and Jaden used to talk to a therapist in the year of 2018. She didn't usually come on Saturdays, which was when I was over at her house, but she did this time for some reason that I forget. Also, I was being nasty to her for whatever reason, I don't know. I was being disrespectful to the therapist, and I have no idea why. So my dad picked me up earlier, and he was mad about it. I was walking around out back at my house crying a lot because I felt so bad about why I was being so rude. And I was beating myself up. I didn't literally beat myself up. It's a figure of speech. I was also stressed about how I randomly started thinking about how one classmate from elementary school, he went through a growth spurt much too fast. I was crying about how I was being rude to the therapist, and because I wanted my old classmates younger to look back. I was panicking until my dad told me to stop worrying about it because he was no longer upset with me. Although the rest of my day was alright, this day still sucked because it was one of the worst feelings. How bad I felt for mistreating my cousin's therapist for no reason. Number 4. March 21st. Hey, this was the first day of spring that year. Although the weather certainly didn't show it, because we had a lot of snow on this day, and it canceled school. I was making a snowman with my family, and things were going fine until I said something that's not nice, and it was leading to a joke. I basically messed up everything by saying what I said. My family's feelings were hurt, and they were also mad at me. It was making me angry how I was telling them I'm sorry, but they were being unforgiving. Saying sorry didn't help. And you know how that feels when you feel sorry, but it doesn't help? It's a very unpleasant feeling. I just wanted to have fun in the snow, but no. I screwed it up. It got worse when I got back in the house. My snow boots were stuck on my feet, and I was trying so hard to get them off when I was trying to show me how to do it right, but I wasn't paying attention. So I got into a lot of trouble. I've had a few good snow days before, but not this one. This one was terrible. Hopefully next time I play in the snow, it goes a lot better than this. And I think my family was at least sorry for what happened. Number 3. Number 3 is July 24th. Do you guys remember when I mentioned the therapist of my cousins Tyler, Nevaeh, and Jaden? Like, I saw her this day, just like on August 25th. Was it any better than that day? Actually, it was even worse. I was playing a board game with the therapist and my cousins about socializing. I was miserable the whole time from the start for whatever reason. I was also frustrated and discouraged because I wanted to land on this one space, but I kept missing it again and again, and everyone else kept landing on it. It was a space where you were able to leave a comment about how you feel about anything. Do you want to know the worst part about this day, though? At one point, while we were playing the game, I landed on a space that makes you read a card that asks you a question. The question I got was name a dream I can remember having. And out of all the dreams I've had that I remember, I named a dream I had that makes my dad seem like a bad person. I was embarrassing him in front of the therapist. It was one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life. When Dad found out, he was furious, and I was in deep trouble. I felt so horrible that I humiliated my dad in front of someone who doesn't know him. I couldn't believe myself. I was just self-loathing on this day. I couldn't believe I would do something so stupid. And not to mention, the kind of mood I was in at my cousin's house was truly awful. I don't think I've ever been so cranky before without real reason. Maybe I was just going through a mood swing. Number 2. August 28th. In case you haven't seen my favorite days of this year, on August 29th, I went to Busch Gardens, Virginia. That day was perfect. It was absolutely flawless and my best day of 2018. I'm sorry for said I spoiled that. So was the day before good too? Not by a long shot. This was the exact opposite in quality. It was actually horrible. I went to John's sister Stacy's house to drop our dog named Brody off. In case you forget, John is my mom's boyfriend. Brody was playing with Stacy's bulldog named Fiona. While Fiona was playing with Brody, she ran into me while I was in the kitchen, and I fell over and hit my foot on the floor. This may legitimately be the worst physical pain I've ever been in. I screamed at the top of my lungs in pain, and I couldn't walk on my foot. Fortunately, I didn't break nor sprain it. I never broke any bones before, and I thought maybe it was my first time because it was very painful. Mom and I were panicking like crazy because we thought I wouldn't be able to walk in Busch Gardens and our vacation was ruined. We were both absolutely devastated about it. So I panicked like absolutely insane. In the car going home crying with both physical and emotional pain. But there's good news. I kept my leg at a level state on the couch with an ice pack on it while watching TV for about half an hour. Then when I got up, it barely hurt at all. My foot pain was almost gone and I was fine the next day. That was a relief. However, this day was still an atrocious day because the suffering I went through that night was unbearable and some of the worst I've ever been through. Isn't it funny how my second worst day of 2018 was the day before my number one best day of the year? But before we get to the worst day of this year, let's go over some dishonorable mentions. other 8s that didn't make it into the top 10, but were still unpleasant ones. And then April 23rd. I thought out April 22nd was a great day in my opinion, and yet this day wasn't. I was playing a game in class, and my classmate got excited, so she gave a loud and shrill scream. I became enraged by the noise, and I yelled, "What is wrong with you?" I ran out of the room, and I hit the door out of anger. This day, along with November 5th of this year, showed my crazy behavior problems, and they were both because of someone screaming. But fortunately, the rest of my day was okay. June 9th. I made a big accomplishment in Geometry Dash this day. I completed my first Demon Raid level. Unfortunately though, this day was ruined by the fact that later I randomly became upset because I kept promising my viewers on YouTube for so long that I would make more cool YouTube videos, and I wasn't doing them because I was too lazy. So I made a video of me apologizing to everyone, even though I now deleted it. I was actually crying in the video. I was telling people that I think I'm never making any more videos, and I really regretted it. Well, guess what happened though? I made another video that evening. I shouldn't have been so dramatic. June 21st. So June 2018 had another day that was rough. My mom wanted me to get ready to go to my grandparents' house, but I wasn't getting ready because I was being lazy and I was playing on Geometry Dash. That made my mom frustrated, so I talked back to her in a nasty way. And that made my mom extremely angry. The maddest I've ever seen her. Her reaction also made me very mad, and I started slamming things in my room. See, I freaked out once again. On the bright side, I had no trouble with my grandparents at least. September 28th. At night, I was watching videos on YouTube. I was looking at a compilation video of people getting mad they didn't get what they wanted for Christmas. And then in one video, a 30-year-old man was cursing out his mother and screaming at her for getting him the wrong present. I was hurt and angry by it. It put me in a poor mood. And then I started getting upset over little things that night afterward. I also told my mom I was having a hard time because of that video. Now I understand. It's highly likely that video was staged and they were pretending. But I think even if I knew that, I still would have been upset by it that day. December 26th. This was the day after Christmas. So I had dinner at my grandparents' house. And unfortunately, it didn't go well. My grandparents told me that my cousin Christian grew by a huge amount in a short period of time. And also that his voice became far deeper. It upset me because I wanted his old voice and look back. I didn't want him to change so fast. Also, when I was trying to pet their chihuahua, she growled and angrily bit my finger. It didn't really hurt, but it still upset me because I just wanted to pet her, and I thought that was rude of her. Now it's time to reveal the truly most dreadful day of the year. I'm going to give you guys a warning. The description of the number one pick might be too sad for you to handle if you're faint-hearted. So just be warned. But here it goes. October 17th. Like I already mentioned, this topic will be really depressing. If you think you can handle it, here it goes. For those of you who don't know, this is probably my least favorite day. Period. Like my worst day, not only of this year, but out of my whole life. No, I think this is truly my worst day ever. I've never had in my entire life had a day as bad as this one, I don't think. Words can't describe the horror of it. Do you remember me saying my uncle passed away on October 3rd, 2018, when I was on number 6 on this list? October 17th was the first day that I was affected by it. Never in my life have I been so deeply distraught. I was doing my math room that evening, and then around 6 p.m., I became upset in an extreme degree beyond what is imaginable, because I was thinking about how I would never see my uncle again, and that a very serious part of my life was taken out eternally. So I was unimaginably devastated about it for hours. To make it worse, although I was with my dad that night in my house, I didn't tell him how I was deeply in pain. It means that no one could help me feel better because no one knew. I just spent the majority of the night in my room crying my eyeballs out non-stop. I cried so much that I'm lucky I didn't get dehydrated from it. I thought I was going to get physically sick from stressing so much. This, along with April 19th, 2020, were no joke my 2 worst days I've ever had in my entire life. Also, the guy wasn't an uncle like a sibling of a parent. He was an uncle to me because he was my dad's best friend. I hope you were happy with this not very happy video. If you can remember your top 10 worst days of 2018, please write in the comments. Bye guys.